Back in the cave where you guys found the folks who had stolen the food from Lonelywood, that's where we're going to start. You guys have some time has passed, so I'll allow you to all fill up your hit points.
So after these guys go down, Guardian's just gonna walk up to each of their bodies and just really crush each head.
Okay, sounds right.
He's gonna pull them up next to this door here, make a little pile, and he's just gonna look at everyone, just in case they come back.
And I think at this time, Laja, you would have also wandered around if you wanted to, but you guys have retrieved the bowl that had that blue flame in it. And after inspecting it some more, it is cold. It was always cold, but nothing else happened to it. The script that's on it, I forgot to mention this, but you guys have that orcish thing that you got way back in like our very first session from the cave that allows you to read orcish. And using that eye, which I think Laja you have, you weren't able to read it because it's not written in orcish, but it's written in a language that's close. And it looks like some kind of demonic script. And you can't exactly translate it, but it's not very friendly stuff. But you have a sneaking suspicion, Laja, that the reason you were able to kill these folks was you put the flame out first. You remembered that the marshal in Lonelywood said that when they attacked these 4 people with their entire city guard, they just wouldn't die. They'd mortally wound them, but they came back up. And you have a feeling that this bowl, when this flame was burning, has something to do with it. Which is why they were surprised when you killed that lady so quickly, Guardian. They were all very shocked. They did not expect that to happen.
Guardian is just dumb look. He's like, I'm just gonna tip it over, no one's stopping me.
That happened to work out. But you guys have recovered the food from Lonelywood, and the sled that the guys used to get it here is still there. They just dropped the whole thing off here in the cave.
Yeah. As everyone's winding down, I'm just gonna be walking back and forth with these bodies, taking them outside, splaying them open. Same with the wyverns, making sure that they're accessible for any wildlife to get to, and then I'll come back in.
Suzanne, the hatchling, has been burrowing herself like a little cave in the snow, and she's been sleeping.
Yeah, I think Rorgar has just been spending this time keeping watch on the little hatchling and just making sure she doesn't get into any trouble or maybe burrow her way into the food stores that we came to save.
She hasn't been exactly interested in the old food stores. She'll occasionally lift her head up and sniff it, but then she goes back down and buries her head in the snow.
Ah, yes, rest, little one.
Guardian, in your trips back and forth out of the cave, you notice 2 things. It's definitely dark, like it's what would be night if Icewind Dale was back to the normal day-night cycle, and the moon is almost full in the sky, which gives you probably 2 more weeks until there's the new moon.
Alright. I'm gonna walk back into the group. Have you scouted the rest of the cave?
I'll say you guys have had time to walk through the cave and check it out. Apart from some stinky living accommodations, there's really nothing else that's very remarkable.
Do you plan on taking a rest here?
I think we already did.
Did we say 8 hours?
I think we took a 1-hour rest, roughly, right?
Yeah, I gave you guys just a few hours and enough to fill up your hit points and stuff too.
Yeah, that's when we first got him. But are we taking as a player, are we taking a long rest?
There's probably no need. I just wanted to start you guys over fresh.
Okay.
Not that that's a hint or anything.
As much as I could use a quick rest. I do not like the accommodations afforded to us here.
Understood. Make yourself
It'll
useful
probably
then.
be safer if we head back.
Agreed.
Yes, Guardian, if you grab one of one part of this cart. I'll grab the other. We can drag it back.
He just looks at you for a moment, then starts walking away.
Hey, little dragon, Suzanne, why don't you follow?
Suzanne, her head pops up out of the snow, and she does the thing that she's done a few times. Rorgar, what she does is she kind of coils herself in front of you and then jumps up. Her wings spread. She doesn't exactly fly, but she bounces off of your chest, lands on your shoulder, and then curls up. Follow to her means I'm going to ride on your shoulder.
Well, friends, I think it is time for us to go.
I'm going to hold on to that bowl that we found because I don't want to leave that there. Who knows who would find it?
It is a good idea.
And it's small. It's about the size of like a cereal bowl. It's not very large or heavy.
I'm going to light up a torch, GM.
Okay. Here in the cave, there's no need to. There's nothing left in this scene. I'm going to move you guys after we're all done here.
Okay.
But as you guys are moving the sled that has the food on it from Lonelywood, it's actually quite heavy. If you remember, the speaker said that it was a significant portions of the quota that they were trying to meet for this month's food sacrifice. So it's actually quite a bit of food. Whoever's going to be moving it, Guardian and Rorgar, I guess. Was anyone else going to help?
Viren will help if he can.
Why don't you guys, all three of you, give me a strength check, please?
Could I make an argument for athletics because I'm going to be pushing it from the back?
Sure.
Yes. Oh, I might have an advantage on that. I did not mean to.
Well, you rolled the same thing twice, so it doesn't matter.
So you guys are easily able to get it out of the cave. It's the sort of situation, though, where you have to put your weapons up. You know, if you have a shield, you have to sling it on your back because this is a two-hand job. And Virian, you're actually not helpful at all as the guys are pushing it. It's sort of like the situation when someone's moving a couch and you're like the guy taking care of the middle. That's kind of what you do here.
Yeah, I like to make a lot of noise, like I am helping a lot, and say, "Oh, guys, this is pretty heavy, eh? But I think I'm helping a lot. We're doing a pretty good job."
Guardian, lift with your
You're
back.
balancing it.
Hey, question. How much meat would there be on those wyvern bodies?
You mean the dragons?
Yeah.
Not terribly, not too much. They're about the size of horses. However, at this point, they don't have much fat on them. There is some meat. The difficulty will be they have dragon scales, so you would need something serious, like if you're going to try to skin them.
About the size of horses, you say? Dragon companion, yes. Is there enough room in the cart to toss them on top of?
Yeah, you could. You could pile the dragons on there.
All right, we'll move the meat to one side, keep it divided, and then toss on the dragons on there, because, hey, you know what? Dragon jerky.
Some of the dragon has been chewed off because Suzanne ate a portion of them after you guys killed them. She hatched, she came back and she ate some of them.
That's okay.
And I think I, instead of leaving Suzanne on my shoulder, I take my bedroll out of my backpack and make like a little, just comfortable spot for Suzanne to sit on the cart.
She does not seem perturbed at all that she's laying amongst the corpses of what is most likely her siblings. She just lays there and rests comfortably, just watching you guys as you're exerting yourself to move this meat out of the cave.
I like how Rogar and Viren are both grunting. Garden's just silent.
Yeah, I haven't looked this up. Do Dragonborn sweat?
I mean, they're reptiles, right? I can't imagine they do.
I think they'd have to pant.
Okay, so that's probably what you see from Rorgar. He's strong. He's very fit. So this isn't difficult for him, but over time, yes. And let's just say that's canon. He starts to pant. You see his cold breath, which is colder than the outside, is starts to come out. Little puffs of smoke, cold smoke.
And away from the cave, you guys make your way down the cliff sides, heading back towards Lonelywood, and the full moon is above, which is a change from what has been the last few weeks, where you guys had no visibility, but you can actually see the moon. I'm also cluing you into that you only have a few more weeks until the new moon, and why that's important is that on the night of the new moon, that's when Oril, the Frost Maiden, she takes the sacrifices of each of the 10 towns, so it's especially relevant to have this back by then, which should be no problem. You're only a few hours away from Lonelywood. But as you guys make your way down through the snow, pulling the sled behind you or Guardian pushing it, the telltale signs of a blizzard begin to move in. And what those are is the wind starts to pick up. It's a cold breeze. The snow begins to intensify. And the visibility, which at this point it's dark, it's even beyond dim, begins to decrease further and further. And that whole whiteout situation starts to blow in. And as this happens, Suzanne, she kind of opens her wings, and before you guys can do anything, she jumps in the air and flies up very quickly out of sight because it's so difficult to see, and you don't see her.
Dragon's gone.
Rogar will look back, first at Guardian and then at the cart, and interesting. I did not know dragons could learn to fully fly at such a young age. I thought they would take like a week.
Virian would like to start tying a lasso really quick and look around at everybody to see if this is a good idea.
Am I throwing you?
I think that would be best.
And before this
Stop
plan
pushing
can
the
go
cart.
too far, you guys see almost like a bolt of lightning is what it looks like, but it's Suzanne dropping from the sky super quick. She's like a white dart, and she hits the snow, but she hits at an angle, and you see that she's burrowing under the snow a little bit, and then she jumps out back on the cart, completely unharmed. Apparently, this dive into the snow is no problem for her. And also, what's remarkable is as this blizzard is picking up, you've noticed before that most creatures can't handle the speed of the wind. In fact, you remember Ollie, the owl, the last time you guys were in a blizzard, she couldn't fly at all, but this is apparently no problem at all for white dragons.
Well, if it returns, it's meant to be, I guess.
I'm gonna pick up Varian.
Virian allows it.
Oh, God.
Friends, what are you attempting here?
He wants me to throw him. I don't know where.
I'm not sure this is a good idea. We can continue moving, we just can't see very far.
All right, Virian will climb down and put his lasso away for the time being.
I'll go back to pushing the cart.
Suzanne is taking her position, on top of the corpses of her siblings, and she just kind of looks around, spreading her wings. She looks absolutely happy.
And in Draconic, Rorgar will say, good to see you find your, good to see you enjoying yourself, little one. Of course, she's probably too young to even understand language at all, so.
She does the thing like dogs do where she turns her head to the side and looks at you, but
Yeah.
of course she does not respond.
And I guess we'll, is Laja on the cart or next to the cart?
No, I think I would be walking next to the cart. That would be mean.
I don't know.
Here, I'll move my icon. We can pretend the cart is in the middle.
Okay. Are we confident we're going in the right direction?
You were confident before the blizzard came in, which actually, Virian, I'm assuming you're taking the lead as usual. If you can give me a survival check, please.
Absolutely. Jeez.
You're still in Icewind Dale. That's about it.
Yes, this is snow.
Good. We're not in a different realm yet, so I guess that's positive.
Garn's gonna push for a little bit, but then he's gonna stop. I have an idea. And he's just going to sit down after that statement.
What kind of idea?
A trick I was shown by one of the elders of the village I come from. That's all he says.
This
And
trick doesn't happen to be called falling asleep, is it?
I do not sleep.
As the snow begins to collect on Guardian's shoulders from sitting there, Laja, you think you see, because you have the best vision of everyone, you think you see off in the distance a dark form moving towards you, the group of you.
I think something's coming this way. We might want to keep going.
Maybe it is a lonely traveler who has found himself stuck in blizzard.
Gargan's just going to stay sitting.
It could also be a bear or something
I just need a few
attracted
minutes.
to the meat.
Virian, what do you think?
Virian looks at Guardian and looks at Laja and can't really decide who's gonna make the better argument to either stay put or go. So Virian will side with Laja and be like, maybe we should keep moving just in case it is someone who wants to kill us and take our dragon meat.
This will provide helpful for the storm.
If Guardian says it's helpful, I will side with him. And that means 50-50 vote. And who else here speaks dragon? Suzanne says she's on my side, so that's 3-2.
And speaking of Suzanne, her head pops up and she looks in the direction of the form that's getting closer and closer, and she starts to growl a little bit. You see her lips pull back and you see some of her teeth. And as this figure gets closer and closer, you can see the outline of, looks like a human perhaps. They aren't wearing as many furs as they probably should. They look kind of thin and beaten by the elements. And for more of description, I'll turn it over to ELH to tell us a little bit about Issa.
Yeah, so Issa is, for lack of a better descriptor, think of a strong Nordic woman, almost Viking-ish, to maybe borrow from a recent Assassin's Creed game. But in general, their furs are actually sort of done in the style of a local tribe that you may or may not have heard of. If you ask her about it, she'll probably tell you about it. She has stark white hair that sort of falls in tresses down to her lower back. She carries a whole lot of visible weaponry. In particular, as you see her approach, you see that she not only has a longbow and multiple hand axes, but she's also carting around a net and a whip, leather armor, and a quiver. And she looks like she's actually kitted out to survive the elements on her own, one way or another. Um, but the one distinguishing feature as she gets closer and you can actually see her face proper is she has a golden eye patch with black sort of accenting around the edges along her left eye. And as she kind of gets closer and closer, she stops within hailing distance, or at least what hailing distance fares for in a blizzard, and sort of calls out and says, hello, hello. I am friend.
I hate to say this, but do I hear that over the blizzard?
You can make it out. It's
Okay.
yeah.
Ah, friend, come here.
And not being told otherwise, she will continue to approach your cart.
Issa, what
GM.
immediately takes your attention is the small dragon, white dragon hatchling that's on top of this cart. You might recognize the two other dead dragon corpses, but you immediately, like, your attention snaps to the white dragon that's hissing at you. It is known throughout pretty much all of the Forgotten Realms, but especially in Icewind Dale, that dragons, white dragons, are like the apex predator. Like, nothing can touch a white dragon. So seeing one, even a small one, hissing at you would immediately have all of your attention.
And go ahead.
As is it Issa or Essa?
I'll respond to either.
Okay, so as Issa approaches the cart, Rorgar will just move towards the cart and put his hand out so Suzanne has something to like gnaw on. Friend, it is good that we encounter you here. This blizzard seems dangerous to be in alone.
Yes, well, and you see her, like, her eyes just, or her one visible eye just sort of darts between the the white dragon and the corpses of meat you have on the cart, and just sort of goes back and forth between the two for a little bit, and then they finally look to you, and she blinks and kind of looks at you, and the- what nature dragonborn are you? Are you a black dragonborn, a gold dragonborn? What sort of dragonborn are you?
You can see Rorgar's actually mostly gray, but his horns and a lot of the edges of the scales have like a silver touch. So he's actually a silver dragonborn.
Gotcha. So I think Issa sort of flashes a toothy grin. Not quite with fangs, but her canines are rather prominent all the same. And she says, again, over the din of the blizzard, yes, it is not something you want to be cut out in the open with. I know of a cave to the south that might be able to provide a shelter, unless you have somewhere to be.
Do we know how
Side
long?
note, that is me telling you the cave you just came from.
Oh, do we know how far we are from Lonelywood?
It was only about an hour or two to get to this
Okay.
cave. Varian did very badly on that roll, so I can't really tell you how close you are.
GM.
Yeah.
How many minutes have passed since I sat down?
Let's say it's been 3 minutes, 23 seconds.
Okay.
Friend, what is your name?
Well, perhaps we should gather together so I don't have to repeat myself. And I glance at the meat again. You that meat looks fresh. Do you have in mind to sell it?
You'd have to ask my traveling companions here. This here is Virian. He is a skilled tracker and hunter. Laja here is a true believer. You will have to. She seems to be very powerful, and Guardian here is a. I think he's some sort of automaton, but he's a good guy. And I am Rorgar. I am a loyal servant of Torm and Bahamut, and I've come to the Icewind Dale to adventure. You probably
Well-
get the sense from Rorgar that he is very young and very headstrong, but not too bright when it comes to the actual working ways of the world.
Makes sense. I was getting that vibe already. But I think Issa sort of straightens up a little bit and says, "All right, well, tell me, do you know of the Tiger Tribe?"
I can't say I do.
I have not heard that either. Virian, have you heard of this tiger group?
Can't say that I have.
And the Guardian, and then I think I see that Guardian is unresponsive. I don't think he's heard it either.
Well, It would perhaps behoove you to know that I am actually the offspring of the one and only Queen Bornhild Sovindottir, the leader of the Tiger tribe, which would make me Isa Sovindottir.
It is a pleasure to meet you. Now we make our way to Lonelywood. Would you like to join us?
Again, I look at the meat. If I can have some of this meat first. To be honest, I'm low on rations. Perhaps low is the wrong word. I am out of rations, and I haven't had anything to eat in the past day and a half. I am absolutely famished. And I figure with this blizzard rolling in, if you don't use this meat now, it's just going to get frozen, and defrosting meat in a blizzard doesn't really work.
I think Rorgar will look to everyone else before saying anything.
Well, most of the dried stuff here belongs to Lonelywood, but we have rations. I wouldn't be opposed to sharing some with you since you're in need.
I mean, I'd be willing to compensate you. I don't have much, and you see her sort of like patting her belts and her leathers, trying to figure out which pocket it's in. And when she finally finds what she's looking for, she pulls out what appears to be 2 gold pieces, because that's literally all I have to my name right now is 2 gold pieces.
When Virion sees Issa patting the furs and belt, he assumes she's talking about the belts, and he immediately pulls out 2 rations and says, "I would love to have one of these exquisite belts," and starts gesturing his 2 rations over to Issa, hoping she'll trade for a cool belt.
And she'll consider the offer very heavily for a moment, and then just kind of shake her head and go, "No, I can't part with these, unfortunately. Perhaps I can tell a tale when we're in a better condition and not in this blizzard, but these belts are a trophy from a hard-fought fight or a hard-fought struggle against a creature that once terrorized the local wastes. But is your friend supposed to be doing that?" Looking at Guardian.
GM, how much time has passed?
Oh, geez. Maybe 6 minutes, 15 seconds.
Okay. Just doesn't say anything.
I mean,
I'll pull out one of my rations and just hand it over. You don't need to pay or anything. Don't worry about it.
I can roll a sleight of hand if you want me to, but I think when I take the ration, I just very calmly slip a gold piece into your hand and pull back before you can like go, "Oh, nope, take it back," kind of a thing.
I mean, if we are going to do the whole like try to give back and no, then that'll probably go on for a good minute.
Yeah.
We'll just wait for Guardian.
That's
I'll
basically my
eventually
way of
keep it.
stalling for Guardian. Yeah.
And Suzanne watches the exchange. She kind of does like a dog will do when they smell food. Like she watches the ration exchange, back and forth and back and forth.
Okay, GM. Has 10 minutes now passed?
Sure.
So Guardian abruptly stands up, reaches out, and he just boops Susan on the head ever so softly. Beast sense.
Okay.
So it's up to an hour of concentration. I can see through the beast eyes and hears what it hears, and continue to do so until I use my action to return to my normal senses.
Does it work for dragons though? Because she's not a beast.
Cherubim beast. Oh, that was 10 minutes wasted then.
How about this? So it's not entirely wasted. You try to direct the sense to Suzanne, but of course it doesn't work because she's a dragon. But your senses jump over to a small like snow mouse that's hopping through the snow in the distance away from you guys. Your perceptions go to this mouse, And from its senses, you can see it's a wholly different world. Like, it's a much smaller scale, of course, than you guys. But it's scurrying through the snow rapidly, looking around, for anything in the sky that might be a predator.
It specifically says touch.
Okay, well, we'll bypass that for this moment because I think this is actually going to help us in the next transition here. But you just have the sense of this mouse, like maybe you don't have the full beast sense like description, but you have the perception of this mouse that quickly vanishes as 3 figures pass it. And it runs away in terror.
I will then cancel out of its vision and grab my maul. And which direction is these coming in from?
It's hard to perceive direction because you came from the senses of a mouse, not entirely, and then also with a blizzard, it's also especially difficult to establish direction. It did not feel like it was very far, though.
Something's coming. And yeah, I'm just holding my maul and I'm looking at the new individual.
Can you be more specific?
3 somethings are coming.
Ah. Well, I just happen to have 3 something arrows for them. And you see Issa, not like towards you all, but towards wherever you're facing, pull out her longbow, string it, get a few arrows knocked, and ready to go.
Virion, upon hearing this, would like to use his primeval awareness. For 1 minute per level of the spell slot you expend, you can sense whether the following types of creatures are present within 1 mile of you, or up to 6 miles if you're in your face. So it would be within 6 miles. Aberrations, celestials, dragons, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead. We know the number and location doesn't really matter, but I guess we just have a heightened awareness.
What you can tell immediately is there's a dragon next to you, and there are 2 dead dragons next to that dragon, but that's all you can tell.
All right. Well, I don't sense anything else in the area, but there are some dead dragons nearby.
Issa and Virion, you guys have both been in the conditions of Icewind Dale long enough to know, and this is pretty standard, but here in a blizzard, any ranged attacks that you make will be at disadvantage.
Well,
just
they
like
would
as always.
be. Is this because it counts as cover or no?
It's the environmental conditions of the blizzard.
Okay.
It just
Because I did
makes
pick up sharpshooter, which I don't think helps me here, but it is something to note.
Yeah, if you have anything that cancels environmental conditions, that would bypass this. But this is just the situation with the wind. And also any concentration check that you make to maintain a spell is also a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, okay. That's important to know.
But again, Laja, you get the sense that something is approaching. And as you turn around, you notice that there are 3 figures close to you moving out of the shadows. And you hear in Dwarven, like you know this language, someone says, "Kill the Uplander." And at this point, if everyone could roll initiative for me, please.
Make sure to select your tokens. Boop.
Oh, now that makes sense. I was trying to figure out Uplander, like what could that mean? Now I understand. I understand. Rorgard does not.
It's like when a wildling says, "Kill the Southerners," and it's like,
Yeah.
Wait a
I'm
minute,
from the
guys.
north. No, you're not.
Oh,
Suzanne's
yes.
token is so small.
Little Suzanne.
It's adorable.
Should someone roll for that?
I'll grab it. I have the
Let
sheet
me
up.
give you the right token. This is full powered Suzanne.
Oh, I dragged
neat.
it from the weaker one. Weird.
Oh, maybe I did it wrong. Oh, you know what? It's linked to the wrong thing. It's fine. It'll work. If you guys use the Suzanne Weaker sheet, that'll work.
Half
She
power.
says she has a Super Saiyan aura around her.
Suzanne Light.
The difference though in Weaker Suzanne is she doesn't have her breath attack and her claws are much weaker, but she has the same AC, same hit points, so she's still tough. She just doesn't hurt things quite as much.
Weird that a day-old dragon is has more hit points than a 21-year-old dragonborn.
Yeah, what have you done with your life?
Yeah.
She has more hit points than most of us, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
Very in the
Most.
distance, let me describe what you see. So you see 3 figures. They're shortish. They're about Laja's height. You can't really tell their features because of the distance that they are away. They look like they're wearing furs and armor of some sort, and they're definitely carrying weapons. But you can't see any more details than that.
I guess Virion wouldn't. Oh no, Virion does speak Dwarvish, so he would have heard them say "kill the Uplander" as well.
Yeah.
I guess Virion's just gonna go into attack mode upon seeing them and run up to this figure and attack with the Moonblade.
All right.
Not well though.
Yeah, that's not going to hit.
Perfect.
Maybe you're not used to like how amazing the Moonblade felt as a weapon.
I think
It's
Virion's
also a
still trying.
blizzard.
What's that?
It's also a blizzard, so
Yeah, I think between the Blizzard and Virion still trying to understand what kind of magic is going on with the Moonblade, he's a little distracted.
It looks really good, though, your attack. It just doesn't work. So maybe as you're swinging this Dorgar, which you can tell immediately in the attack, it's a dark dwarf, evil dwarf. He raises a shield and catches your blow. And it looks like the sword has left a large scratch across his shield, but you have not actually managed to injure him.
And I believe that's all I can do here.
Let's see. So the dwarf in the center, you can see Virion and also Laja, who is closer to you. He says some sort of arcane phrase that you can't quite make out because none of you guys have arcane abilities. And he shrinks immediately quickly down into a tiny size. Like he is so small he could ride Suzanne if he wanted to. And Suzanne's about the size of a cat. But he shrinks down super tiny. There he goes.
I love that you can actually shrink the token.
And then he moves and jumps on the top of this log here, and that will be his action. That moves to you, Issa.
So, just a point of clarification here. Does his reduced size confer a penalty on attack?
Yes, significantly. Well, not a
Can you give
penalty on
me a
attack. It
number?
makes him much more difficult to hit. That's the way it works.
Okay. Well, not exactly showing off, but maybe wanting to leave a good first impression. I think Issa is going to aim for this Duragar here. Maybe even taking a step forward first so that she's within 30. And I think she's just going to take a careful aim with her longbow. And we're going to see what happens. This is a disadvantage, which I believe a 7 means the arrow goes wide.
Yeah, unfortunately. It was a shot that probably would have hit. However, the wind catches it at the last moment and drives it off into the tundra somewhere.
Well, Issa doesn't dwell on it long, is already knocking another arrow, but I believe that is my turn.
And that takes us to Wargar.
Important question before I decide what to do. We did get our hit points back, but do we have our spell slots and abilities back?
Yeah, let's go ahead and reset those.
Oh, hell yeah.
Thank you. I had no spell slots left.
Yeah, I remembered you just come out of two
I had one, yeah.
two long fights, so I want to give you guys a reset.
Rorgar quickly grabs his holy symbol from around his neck, and you see him, whoever's paying attention, whisper something in Draconic. I'm using my vow of enmity against this Dwarger. Oh, I can't do that until I get to him, but I move to here. I use my Vow of Enmity. Put that in the chat. So I have advantage on attack rolls against him. And then I will attack him with my battle axe.
Unfortunately, even with advantage, that will not hit him.
Well, at least that lasts for a while. I kept scrolling down like, oh, when's my attack rolls going to show up? Because I didn't expect them to be that crappy.
Apparently, that vow was not enough to shake him with any kind of fear.
Yeah. I moved around Guardian and to this guy, so that's all I can move. That's my bonus action. That's my action. I'm done. Rogar is done.
So the Dorgar right in front of you, Virion, he also utters something in a language that you can't discern, so you know it's not Dwarven even. And he actually grows in size, and
Hell
yeah, he grows into a large size. He was medium to begin with, so here he is.
Oh, good.
And he's going to stay where he's at, so that's actually his turn.
It is just more to hit, friend.
Hmm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Rage. Burger, 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 burger. Reckless attack against him.
Okay.
21.
21 will certainly hit.
Excellent. 13 damage.
So as this dwarf is paying attention to Wargar Guardian, you sneak up and a scream, swipe him with your hammer. He's still standing, but it's a mighty blow.
I sneak up with a bear roaring sound as
Yeah.
I whack him.
I think that takes us to Suzanne.
Okay, I'm gonna have Suzanne move up to the one in the middle that hasn't gone attacked yet, and attempt to bite
Oh, the little one.
the little baby one with the little baby jaws. You know, it should work. It does not work.
Unfortunately, with the 6, the small, like tiny dwarf is able to jump aside as Suzanne comes in, and it's kind of comical because if you took the scale of the two of them and blew it up, it would be like Suzanne is a massive dragon and the tiny dwarf is human-sized, but they're just incredibly small together. I think that takes us to you, Elijah.
Well, since most of us haven't been able to hit anything yet, I'm going to use my channel divinity because hopefully that'll have a better chance at hitting all of them. So they'll all have to do a DC 13 con save.
All right. I am really sorry they all passed.
Oh, then that's half. That's 6. That's not bad. Still, a little bit works.
That's still good.
And I'm going to stay where I am.
They're dwarves. They have great constitution.
Do any of them have to worry about concentration?
No, not yet.
Okay.
The same rule applies to them, though. But as you channel your divinity, it's a blinding, probably like sweeping beam of light that passes over all of them, and they all 3 recoil considerably, even though they don't actually take that much damage. The sunlight, as you recall, Laja, is a pretty big deal. Durgar do not like it.
See, that's why I'm happy that I'm a light cleric.
But we're going to move on to this one, the one that you attacked, Guardian. He turns to you, Wargar, and he starts to swing. However, he, because of the blinding lights of Channel Divinity, is going to attack at disadvantage. How's a 17?
No. My armor class is 18.
Nice. So yeah, half blinded, he tries to attack you with a pick, like a large war pick, and he misses Rorgar. But that takes us to Virion.
Having seen this Dwarger grow immensely in size, he's gonna take a little bit of a step back and just kind of try and jump up and thrust his sword somewhere in the middle around the shield that he has.
Okay.
With the moon blade.
Unfortunately, a 14 is still not good enough to bypass
God.
the defenses of this Dorgar.
Okay.
The tiny Dorgar looks past Suzanne to you, Guardian, and quickly casts a spell. If you can give me a DC 12 intelligence saving throw, please. He's using your reaction and trying to take over your mind.
Oh.
So an intelligence save?
Yeah, the DC is 12.
Oof, -1 there.
He forces you.
You know what? No. I'm gonna use an inspiration.
Yeah, you want to use your inspiration here.
Aha!
Very good. You feel the tendrils of his consciousness start to weave into your mind, but you shake your head and pull through it. What he's trying to get you to do is he's trying to take you over to use you as a pawn to attack your allies here.
I slowly turn my head and then the rest of my body towards him, as now he's the focus of my rage.
That takes us to Issa.
So I think what she's going to do is she's going to shift her focus to the one that Virion is working on. And again, is going to go for a shot between the eyes with the sharpshooter. Because I figure if I'm already at disadvantage, it can't hurt to roll anyways. With a 4, I'm not getting anywhere anytime
I'm so
soon.
sorry that 19 would have hit too, but the 4 does not.
No, this is the peril I knew what I was getting into.
Wrong game.
But no, I'm content to stay by the cart, guard the cart. That'll be my turn, I guess.
Okay. That takes us to Rorgar.
All right. I still have advantage with my Vow of Enmity, but I will move to behind this Dwargar, just so Guardian will also have advantage if he doesn't want to be reckless. Although I think he's moving away, so it doesn't matter. And then I will attack with my battle axe.
I didn't see where you're moving. Are you moving to the other side of the guy?
Yeah, behind him.
So like that?
Oh, maybe I'm having a connection issue because I did that.
Oh, I am too. I didn't catch that. Oh,
Yeah,
Roll20 might be having a
it's
problem.
frozen for me.
Here, let me roll and see if that pops up. Did my 17 show up?
It did not.
Not
I'm
on
trying to
my
refresh
end.
to see if Roll20 comes back.
Okay. I rolled a 17 and a 10. I'll also refresh just in case. Oh, yeah, it says right there. Service interrupted. Let me just log out and log back in.
Yeah, mine says that too, Brad.
I will use a spell slot. Oh, I'm still loading. Sorry. Let me just click my battle axe so I can get the damage from that. Just doesn't matter what the roll is.
A 13?
So I roll. It was actually a 17, but yeah, 13. But that's the damage from that. But I'm gonna use my smite. So
Go for it.
That smite is an extra 2d8 damage radiant.
With a hiss, you bring your battle axe across the Dorgar. He makes a sound and then he falls over dead. Very, very dead. You killed him twice.
Sorry, I'm trying to rearrange everything that I had. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I will use the rest of my remaining movement to go to here.
Okay.
So that's behind the enlarged Dwarger. And you can see Rorgar is dragging the remaining holy radiant energy is like leaving a steam in the snow as he's dragging it behind him as he moves to fight this new foe.
I think that transfers us back to that Dorgar, and he turns to you, Virion, again. He watches Rorgar, but he's not focused really on him. He looks at you, and he attacks with a war pick again. Actually, he still has disadvantage from the light from Elijah's channel divinity. How's a 5? Imagine 5 won't hit.
Just misses.
Oh, he rolled a 1, so doesn't matter.
He's a little too distracted.
Well, he's also partially blinded from that light, so he swings wildly past you. But that takes us...
Virion, how are you doing on the other side of this huge creature?
Good. I just did a sweet cartwheel. You probably couldn't see it because of the storm to get away from his swing.
Yes, I did not see it at all, but I do take your word for it.
But
Yeah,
that
I'll go
takes
off
us to
reckless.
Guardian.
Reckless.
Are you attacking the little guy in front of you?
Oh, yes.
I think Guardian has that tattooed across his knuckles. I guess painted
Reckless.
since he's not.
14?
14 will not hit. This little dwarf is incredibly evasive as you attack. He makes a little sound and dances away.
Then that's my turn.
Which takes us to Suzanne.
Suzanne will try to bite the little guy.
Whoa.
Suzanne succeeds.
Just with a little, chomp with the tiny baby teeth.
Yeah, as the little dwarf is not paying attention, yeah, she takes a little bite out of one of his legs or something. But that moves us to Elijah.
Great. I will cast Guiding Bolt on the big one because I want to give the other guys advantage. Hopefully.
Oh,
Wow.
that'll hit. I shouldn't say that'll hit. I have no idea. He could have AC 50. I don't know.
No, that hits, definitely. For 10 damage.
And the next, any attack roll made before the end of my next turn has advantage because it's shining now.
Perfect.
And I'll
Yeah.
stay where I am because this seems like a good place to be.
I think that takes us to Virion.
After being missed by the Dwarger's strike, Virion is going to try and chop him down like a tree with a moonblade at the ankles. 17? Wait, it
17
was with
hits?
advantage, right?
Yeah, it's advantage.
Yeah.
You have double
Okay.
advantage basically because you're flanking him and then also from Elijah's burst.
Right.
I think rules is written to technically be flanking a large creature. I'd have to be standing here.
Okay.
Either
but
way.
17 will hit for 6 damage, okay?
And as it does hit, my penguins will shoot out of the ground
Oh, hell yeah.
and swarm the ankles, feasting on the flesh wound that I have created.
Yes.
Oh my lord! Where are these penguins coming from?
Get used to them. It's gonna be it's a hot ticket around here.
Teller, I am so excited
I have been
about
on this
this.
ice for 23 years. I have never seen penguins do this before.
Because guys, guess what? This is another penguin kill.
Yes.
Oh
The
my
penguins, this is their second kill. The penguins swarm the Dorgar, and with a cry, the Dorgar is overwhelmed. He seems as surprised as the rest of us as the penguins just cover him completely, and he falls over, thrashing around as they consume him.
I swear these penguins are the MVP.
I just imagine like one penguin like bores through and bursts out of his chest. His back is turned to us, and then his head just turns and snaps to look at us dramatically.
I pat that penguin on the beak and say, "You did good, fella."
Yeah, I picture them like the scarab beetles in The Mummy.
I have so many questions, but let's deal with this last Duragar first.
I'm so proud, Tally. You did all the damage with that Moonblade strike and had 1 hit point left, and the penguins finished it. That was perfect.
Amazing. I love that happened.
But the small Durgar, he turns to you again, Guardian, and tries to use his mental control to take command of you again. If you can do an intelligence save for me, please.
Wow.
16.
I don't have advantage.
That's right, you don't have advantage
Sorry,
for 2.
So that's the left one. It's a 2.
Can I use my inspiration on Guardian?
Yeah, you can.
I really don't want that to happen.
I'll make Guardian do a reroll though.
Wow.
Well, it was better.
All right, so the Dorgar takes over your mind for a moment, Guardian, and he tells you, like, you basically see the world differently as he's controlling your mind, and you turn using your reaction to the only thing that is within melee range of you that's not him, and that is Suzanne. If you can do an attack roll for me, please, against Suzanne.
Okay. So question. Would I go all out against Suzanne like I normally have been doing with these guys?
You're just using your reaction, so you can't use your you can't use your frenzied strike or anything. It's just a normal attack roll, so you will not have advantage. But
Okay.
you are still raged, so it will do the rage damage. I need to check. I don't think that's enough to hit Suzanne.
That does not hit.
She's not paying attention, though, as you strike. It's perhaps just because she's so small, you miss her, but she was not trying to evade you because she wasn't paying attention. But when your blow lands next to her, she looks at you and regards you very differently. But that takes us to Issa.
That's so sad.
So if I understand the situation correctly, the tiny dark dwarf has advantage on it currently, yes? Or was that just the one big dwarf that we just killed?
That was the big one you just killed. The little guy,
Okay.
you don't have advantage on him.
Okay. Wanted to be sure. I think I am just going to go and do this because fall damage is quite interesting. I'm going to just sort of shake my head, put the bow back, and then almost like a Jedi would, I sort of throw out my hand with 2 fingers extended. And oh no, wait, it has to be a willing creature. Sorry, can't do that. Never mind.
Oh, it's not like a save?
No,
No.
it specifically says it has to be a willing creature, and it can't be myself. Otherwise, I'd throw myself at them.
That would have been cool.
In that case, I think I am just going to shoot it again because that is what I do. And we'll do a sharpshooter again because eventually, there we go.
That actually hits.
Excellent. Well, we're gonna go full beans here. That as the arrow is knocked back and the bowstring is pulled back, it begins to glow with a I don't want to say a benign light, but almost a purplish white hue. And as it flies out, it's going to do this initial damage plus
Oh!
an additional let's see, 1d6 plus my int. And my int is a 2. So an additional, that's 23 if I can math today. And that 7 is in force damage if it matters.
Yeah, that's a pretty heavy hit on this tiny dwarf. You sort of thread the needle here and manage to hit him as he was focused on whatever he was making Guardian do. He is still standing, but he looks very wounded and very, very surprised.
Wow.
And as I see my hit land, I say, I suggest we focus our attacks on the little one before he escapes with our automaton friend. That'll be my turn.
Okay, it takes us back to Wargar.
So ELH, you said Issa's shot kind of had a glow to it.
Yeah, like a
Okay.
purplish white hue to the arrow.
So when you yell that, Rorgar's kind of confused because he can't really see much because of the blizzard, and then he sees the little remnants of that, and that's where he charges towards. And he'll bring down his battle axe full force onto this this Dwarger, however you say it. Am I considered to be flanking it?
Let me look it up because he's tiny.
Yeah, with small, I'm not sure how it's treated.
I think technically Suzanne would have to be like there, like half a square up.
Yeah, it's. I think it gets weird when when people are medium size. It's easy. Once you get larger or smaller, it can be a bit nitpicky. If you want, I'll just go without for now, just to get going.
Yeah, let's do it without. For now, I'll have
Okay.
to look it up. This is the first time I've used a tiny creature in combat.
I don't know if Rorgar has actually seen that this person has shrunk, so he's probably expecting to see a dwarf-sized creature, and then when he sees it's tiny, it's kind of like a last. Oh, well, maybe that's probably good.
That will do it. That'll hit him.
He has just last second and says, "All right, well, sorry, small friend." Bam, and I will use my another smite. So 10 and then 2d8.
So is that 20?
Yeah, 10 slashing, 10 radiant.
And this heavy strike, again, the dwarf looks up at the last moment, makes it squeak as Rorgar finishes him off very gory. And that takes us out of combat.
And you see, Suzanne, that's why Bahamut is so important, because Bahamut gives me the strength to destroy our enemies.
Rogar's immediately interrupted by a maul coming down, smashing on a corpse. Pulls back, smashes on it again, and Gargan's just going to town on it.
Well, I guess I'm not getting that arrow back.
Guardian, you were just a... Well, new friend Issa, your help was greatly appreciated. It was interesting to have Torm and Bahamut on our side, Lathander on our side, and who do you look up to? Who's your benefactor?
And you can see that her face twitches, not quite into a scowl, but there's just the remnant of displeasure on her face as she almost spits out and she says, "I worship no god or goddess. The only being I trust in is myself."
Friend, that is okay. Even if you do not believe, Torn on your side. And Rorgar, with a weird toothy smile, will go back to the front of the cart where he was dragging it before.
So
and I think with the ration that I was given earlier, I'm going to see if I can get Suzanne to come up on my shoulder.
As you pass the ration towards Suzanne, she's still watching Guardian as he walks away, even though he's hacking at the dwarf. She kind of backs away. She's watching him slyly, out of the corner of her eye. But as you approach Issa, she, immediately you have her attention as you're offering her food. She sniffs the ration a bit and, takes a bite and then just like spits it out immediately, but still looks at you like, she's not aggressively looking at you, but she's not interested in what you have.
Yeah, your loss. And then I start eating the ration, not even caring the fact that it took a bite out of it.
She turns her head to the side, sniffs the air, goes over to one of the Dorgar corpses, and begins to immediately tear it to pieces and eat it. Not the whole thing, but parts of it.
Oh, look at that. It is so cute to see young ones so enthusiastic. Virian, You did quite a bit of damage with that new weapon of yours.
Yeah, it's coming in handy. I still need to figure out what the whirring is and what the noises are all about, but uh, it's uh, it's feeling a little more at home in my possession now.
And friend Laja, that use of your abilities there seem to be quite important. What it was like holy energy. For a second, I thought, yeah, Lathander, pretty cool guy.
It's a shame it's dark here most of the time because, it feels a bit more distant from him, I would say. But at least we know he's still lending his power to our cause.
It is quite comforting, I have to say.
Thanks for all the compliments, Rorgar. That's really kind of you.
I think we all did pretty good there. I felt better about that fight than that one with the weird druid lady and the moose. That was
So
weird.
I want to ask about this moose, but can we talk about that penguin thing for a moment? Because I wasn't kidding. I've been on this ice for a long time. What did you do to those penguins?
They're my spirit animal, I guess. I'm a swarm keeper, and the penguin basically represents my people living in the northern wilderness, and they come to my aid whenever I need it. And I shoo my penguins over to Issa, and they nuzzle around her ankles.
Oh, well, this is kind of nice. Can't really say I've ever had this happen before.
They're extremely violent, but they know better around us now.
Huh. I reach down and pick one of the chunky giblets that Guardian left behind, and I motion like I'm gonna throw it for the penguins to go chase after.
They excitedly waddle back and forth, waiting for it to be tossed.
Oh yeah. No, I instigate what might be a battle royale by just tossing the giblet out into the not super far, but just far enough away to get the birds going.
They all give chase, absolutely.
Guardian starts pushing the cart.
So, Laja, would you have ever seen a Dorgar before?
I would say no, and actually I was going to say as we're walking, I was going to chat with Issa for a moment. Issa, where I was wondering where is your tribe from? Because I heard them speaking before they attacked us, and they said something about an uplander. Are you from north of here?
And just to confirm, Jim Joss, the tiger tribe is to the northeast? Question mark.
Well, they're nomadic, so you might not be able to tell exactly
Okay.
where they are now. They are from the north of the 10 towns generally.
Okay. Then I will reply in the affirmative. I will say, yes, you could say that. My tribe is transient. They don't really remain in one position for long, but they do remain to the north of the towns, as it were.
Interesting. I wonder why they were, picking you out individually if they intended to kill all of us. I mean, I'm glad they didn't
Now,
kill any of us, but
I don't think it was quite me they were after. I think what they maybe saw, and this is only hearsay, what I've learned during my time out here. Perhaps it is one of those instances where they are their aversion to light would suggest that maybe they come from some sort of subterranean life or some part of existence which doesn't see the light that often, which I suppose is, given the current state of the world, My point being that perhaps they are quite literally from below ground, and therefore anyone who is uplander is, up above land.
Virian, if you can give me a history check, please.
Alrighty.
With the
Oh,
five,
sorry.
with a 5, you don't recall anything. Perhaps you were asleep that day in Elvish history class. So nothing useful comes to mind.
Maybe they were just jealous of your faith, Dawnbringer.
That could also be the case.
Perhaps. I don't know. I haven't run into anybody quite like them before.
You do seem to radiate some sort of energy. Unlike Guardian, who radiates some sort of smell.
I think that might be the blood.
Now that you say it, I think that is correct.
I mean, if the scent is such a problem, we could probably all clean up once we're back in town.
Let's get to town and then we can discuss it.
Okay, so don't want to be the bearer of bad news here, but anyone know which way town is?
Which way is town, Jam? What do I need to roll for that?
A survival check if you want to head off, Guardian, or you could see if Virian wants to lead the way as usual, but you could head off on your own if you want.
No, I thought everyone was asking where town was.
With the blizzard, you still can't really tell. Virian could use his tracking abilities, which has been useful in the past, but otherwise one of you guys could also try to find your way, but there's no clear sign of where town is because the blizzard still.
I'd like to try. I mean, would that be a perception? Would it be a survival? What would it be involved?
It's a survival, yeah.
Okay, well, let's see what happens. I mean, it's not great.
13 is fine. Issa, you can tell probably an hour, if you continue west, will take you just to the edge of the forest and to one of the entrances to Lonelywood.
Well, she sort of looks around and, yes, I recognize that tree stump now that I see the greater picture. We want to head that direction for about a little bit. If we can keep on a straight line, we'll get to town within an hour.
New friend. That sounds good to me, and let me be the first to say drinks are on me when we get back to Lonelywood.
Might take you up on that.
Virian will move to the side of the cart and pretend to lift the cart again.
Yes, have you ever been to the Lucky Liar? It is a very interesting place.
I don't really do the whole town thing, but considering the fact I'm running low on arrows and rations, I think I'll just have to grit my teeth and bear it, I believe is the expression.
As what could be described as a city kid, don't sleep on the experience of town life. It is comfortable. And Rorgar will pick up his part of the cart and start moving.
And I think if everyone's going, just so you guys know, it's about 10 p.m. in the Icewind Dale land. So you guys are still, yeah. When you make it into town, it's pretty late. The only commotion you see as you come in is it looks as though Marshal Haggard and the militia that he raised continue to fortify the outskirts of Lonelywood. They built like a wooden defensible barricade and everything, and they are armed with like bows and stuff, but they see you as you approach and they back down. And
Before
wait, go ahead.
Before we get close enough for them to see the cart, I'd like to stop everyone and say, it may be an issue that we have a dragon with us, anyone have a solution for this problem? I would like to keep Suzanne with us. I believe she could be very useful. And I think she is kind soul. Dragon to dragonborn.
The only issue anyone will have with Suzanne will be their jawbone stabbing them in the neck if they try anything to her.
I take
My-
great pleasure in hearing that, but I think hiding her might be the easiest solution.
I mean, hiding just leads to problems in my book. Why not just be honest and forthright about it?
Okay. If that is the approach you wish to take, I will wholeheartedly follow.
Well, again, I'm the newcomer to this group. I simply just would like to offer my viewpoint. That's all.
But Issa, you look very well traveled and looking kind of bashfully towards everyone else in the group. This might be my first adventure.
Ah,
I imagine Guardian is just covered in meat chunks that have been frozen to his body.
icicles or meatsicles.
Guardian is terrifying.
Have you
Well-
even got like blood sickles as well? Like you've got like certain ones are red, other ones like have flesh chunks in them. It's great.
Oh look, that's an eye. Mm.
Well, let's continue forward then. I'm sure these nice people, will understand.
And as you guys continue your way on to the entrance to Lonelywood, coming up to the barricades I was just describing, Suzanne, she perks her head up and she looks over at the lake, Mare Duwalden. She kind of gives it a sniff, and before you guys can react, she's jumped up into the air, glided a bit, and then she dives very quickly into the water. And the blackness of the water is very still. You can't really see into it. The distance is pretty poor anyway, the distance that you can see. But yeah, she's in the water somewhere.
In Dragonborn, in Draconic, I'll yell out, Suzanne, those knucklehead trout are stronger than you think." And ELH probably doesn't know this, but we had a very difficult time with knucklehead trout.
So I think
All-
in character, I think Issa's gonna say, "Oh no, I guess you're doing it in Draconic. I don't know Draconic. Sorry,
Yes,
carry on."
yeah. And then in common, I guess that solves one problem. Let's continue.
But as you approach the barricade, coming from behind is Marshal Haggart with the speaker Huddle on his heels, and they quickly advance to you guys in the cart. And Haggart says, "Wow, I didn't expect you to be back so soon. Did I take it you managed to find their lair? Should we expect a counterattack?"
I believe
No.
we've handled all of the people who were there. So it should be relatively safe. We did also manage to take down some rather young dragons. So I'm not sure if there are any adults necessarily, but we only found the young there.
The speaker looks to Haggard, then back to you guys. "Ah, you must have encountered some of the brood of Arvaturus. It's good that you killed them before they were too large. We fortunately don't have too many white dragons around here, but they are quite destructive."
I'm sorry, Marshall. Can you say that again and maybe spell it out?
And the marshal says, "No, but I can copy and paste it."
Please. Thank you.
That is the name.
How long do I have to be in the cold water before it starts affecting me, Jam?
That is a good question. I think it's probably, when we did it before, I think I said like a minute. You would quickly feel the hypothermia even as Warforged. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they're killing me with this name.
Arveochurus.
Arveochurus, yeah.
I'm just taking notes, so I just wanted to make sure I got it right.
Yeah, I've got them down as Arve because Arve is the only way I'm gonna remember them.
I think
Arveochurus.
Issa, having lived in Icewind Dale, pretty much her whole life, you are familiar with the dragon she's talking about. The nickname of this dragon is the White Worm. She is the top level threat, at least before you start talking about gods like Orel, which is the cause of this curse. If you're talking about mortal creatures, she's the top of the food chain.
So I think I'm gonna keep that to myself, realizing that we have one of her potential offspring that's sort of hanging around us, because you don't just say that in normal conversation to people.
And Haggard says, I'll take this food off of your hands and take it to the food stores. What do you want to do with these dragons? He looks at the corpses.
Rations. Supplies, resources. Scales have good uses. So do their bones and their internal organs.
And Huddle says, yes, I think it's a good idea that we don't add it to the sacrifice. White dragons are Orwell's creatures, and that might be tempting her more than I'd like.
Nimsy, is the Lucky Liar still open?
Oh yes, of course. Oh, and she says, where are my manners? Please, let me buy all of you something to drink and some food. You must be so tired.
Don't worry about that. Drinks are on me. But we have spent the last 2 hours in a blizzard, and I think we need to warm up. At least some of my more warm-blooded friends.
And she says,
I'm not sure you have met this one, and points to Issa. We met this one just wandering alone in the wilderness.
And she steps forward and pushes up the glasses up her nose a little bit. So Issa, Nimsy is the speaker of Lonelywood, and what you know about your time in the Dale is speakers are elected in different ways for each town, but they're basically the head of the town. And this particular speaker is a halfling. She's very small, very energetic.
Oh, well, then I'm really looking down on her because I was imagining Issa was like 6'4", 6'8", so that's a size difference.
Oh wow! So you're almost the exact same size as Rogar.
Yeah.
I love it.
So yeah, I look down at the speaker and give my best impressionable smile.
But she extends a hand and she says, welcome to Lonelywood.
And of course, I take the hand, shake it very firmly, and I say, thank you. My name is Issa.
And she says, please join me at the Lucky Liar. We'll get out of this cold. And she turns to the marshal. Marshal, the fuel, secure the food. And he kind of nods and goes over to the sled and by himself drags it off.
Oh, and I think Rorar will probably whisper this to everyone else in the party, but probably a little too loud. Should we tell them about the evil, like, cauldron thing?
Garen just walks away from him.
I don't know if they have anybody here who can examine it. I mean, we could share it with them, but they already told us to get the Moonblade examined elsewhere.
Can I use Divine Sense? If I use that, do I still sense some sort of power coming from that cauldron that we took?
Yeah, you detect a strong feeling. Particularly it triggers both your undead and fiendish senses. It is still functional, although it's not active.
This is still a artifact of great power. I can still feel it. It is not something to be played with. But if we don't think there's anyone here capable, maybe we are the best ones to hold on to it.
I don't
Or,
mind keeping an eye on it for the time being until we find somebody who can tell us maybe how to deal with it better.
or as a big middle finger to whatever fiendish god this is related to, we take it to the Lucky Liar, we fill it with mead, and we drink it. We drink out of it like it's
I feel like that's a bad idea.
some sort of award trophy.
I feel like that's a worse idea than just maybe leaving it in a bag.
I will not argue with you, Laja. I will rely on your guidance in this instance. You do seem to have a more level head than me.
I don't know if putting mead into an evil artifact will make that into evil mead. You don't really know either, I don't
And
think.
now that you say it, I think putting mead into a cup would be more efficient for drinking. So, yeah,
Unless we can fashion some type of long straws we could all use to drink out of one big jug.
one big jug. Oh, this sounds exciting to me.
But if it's going to have repercussions, it might not be a
Yes.
great idea.
It does
Maybe the
have,
Lucky Liar has, their own jugs
That's a good
that we can
point,
use
too.
yeah,
that
and
will
this does
be
give off
neutral jugs,
evil,
not evil jugs.
evil and fiendish energy. So maybe it's not the greatest thing. Okay. Speaker, I think it's time we go to the Lucky Liar.
Yes, and get us your biggest jug.
She kind of nods. She says, "Yes, I think they have sufficient number of glasses at the Lucky Liar."
Marshall, you are invited too.
As the marshal's pulling the food off, he just raises a hand and waves.
Is that a wave of like no thank you or a wave of yes I'm coming? I don't understand.
It's kind of a dismissive wave, like, "Okay, see ya."
Might be taking care of the supplies that we brought back.
Yeah, Rogar was not asking that of you. He's asking that of the party.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I grew up among humans, but I sometimes I don't understand their mannerisms.
Well, I thought I understood penguins before today, and clearly I don't. So we're all learning new things today.
I'm gonna move you guys
Yeah.
to the Lucky Liar.
I'll
So
go. Rogar just straight forward, no pauses, right to the bar, back straight up, full of pride because he's had a successful mission and he feels like he's doing what he's here to do. So he goes right to the bar, and says, "Barkeep, we have come back from our expedition out into the wilds. We have saved the village. We have killed the evildoers, and I think it is time for everyone in this bar to enjoy a drink on Rorgar, and of
Furion will
course on Torm and Bahamut as well."
And
Sorry.
the young lady who's the bartender, she looks at you kind of coldly and she says, "Very well, drinks all around. That'll be 5 gold pieces."
5 gold pieces it is. You know what? I will give you 6 because I am that happy.
She takes the coins from you and she tests them, like in her teeth to make sure they're actually gold. And she says, "Very well, ale all around."
That
And
is very strange to do because every single one of those gold pieces were given to me by the speaker of this town. And then he has like a pause, like, "Oh wait, are they real?"
They are. Nimsy laughs and she says, "Oh, don't worry. We all there are certainly some." She looks at Danae, the barkeep, and she says, "We some of us are not very we're not very trustful of people from outside of Lonelywood, but don't worry. I promise their money is good."
Well, barkeep, that extra piece of gold is for you because you have done us a great service by giving us joy in this moment of celebration.
And she looks at you coldly without saying a word and takes the gold.
Just bring the drinks for my party to the table at the back, and he'll point to where Guardian has kind of made his post.
But describing
Imagine-
the bar, actually, this is not an inn. I should say that's also one of the unfortunate features of Lonelywood is there's not currently an inn. This is just a bar, and Issa, what the party had to do previously was actually stay at the speaker's house in her attic because there's no place to stay here. But the tavern is actually full of people. So you guys kind of move your way around. You see Danby, the bard, he's playing again, and he's got the thing going on with a fountain, which as he plays on his harp, he's creating sort of water illusions that go along with his song.
Neat. And I think I actually what I do is as Rogar goes back to the table, I think I actually stay with the barkeep and kind of motion that I'll help her carry all the ale over our table.
And as you go to help, she looks at you, Issa, and she says, "I don't need a savage to help me."
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, no.
That's not any way to make friends, but all right, if you want to be a stuck up
Nimsy walks up to you and she tries to put her hand on your shoulder, but she can't quite reach. And she says, "Oh, friend, it's all right. Please come take a seat. Would you like something to eat? Something warm, perhaps?"
I look at the barkeep, just a side-eye glance, and I go, meat would be good. Lots and lots of meat."
And Virian, did you want to talk to Danby the bard?
Yes, but before I do, I'm gonna shout out to Rorgar, Laja, and Guardian because I feel like Virian maybe would have heard what Danae said and yell over to them, guys, Danae is canceled. And but Virian will walk over to Danby and strike up a conversation and kind of just say, "Hey, Danby, I've been told that you have some type of way with deciphering what kind of magical properties items might have. I found this sword, and I'll pull out the Moonblade, and I don't know. I'm just wondering if you have any insight of what kind of properties this might hold."
And he finishes his song and he turns to you with a flourish and he says, "Why, hello, handsome. For you, Danby the Bountiful has plenty of time."
Well, I'll take all the time you'll give me.
He says, pull up a chair. Let me see what you've brought me." And as soon as you go to pass the Moonblade over, his eyes widen. He says, "My goodness, I think this is a Moonblade."
A moon? Yeah. It was calling to me in a tomb, but no body was with it, which was very, very uncharacteristic.
Ah, well, I must confess, I'm not the expert on Moonblades. I don't think I've ever even heard of one being carried in an inn before.
You must know a little something, and I will gently stroke the side of his cheek.
He says, "Well, I will try to conjure up everything I can remember just for you." And he looks on the crossguard and he reads the name of the sword. He says, "Huh, I do recall the name of a sword like this. I have a song I can sing, actually. If you're interested. It's kind of an old tune." He starts to string his harp. And he plays the song, which I'm not even going to try to sing. No, Nick, it's not going to happen. But the summary is, the song talks about this old elvish kingdom. It's ancient, actually, elvish kingdom, as far as the song goes. And it says that there was an heir of this kingdom who was he was a budding mage, and he turned to evil. And when it came time for him to ascend the throne, the sword era identified his evil heart and sort of outed him to the kingdom as he was about to take command of the throne. And when they resisted, he killed everyone in the entire Elvish city. And that's the song.
Virion will gently wipe away a single tear in his eye and say, "It's a beautiful song about a terrible, terrible tragedy."
Now, I can't say that it's the same song, but it's kind of a coincidence that a Moonblade, also named Era, would have a different story than the one I just sang about.
So it's no coincidence that this started making some noises when there was danger close by to us.
And he looks again at the hilt, which has a symbol on it. He says, this is the symbol of Suluna, the moon goddess. It makes sense that this would be on a moonblade, particularly forged by moon elves who have an affinity towards the moon goddess for obvious reasons. Suluna does have a strong hatred to undead, so if you encountered undead, it's very likely that the sword has a similar affinity. I have to tell you, though, I don't know much more about moonblades apart from the fact that they're sentient, as in they are just as alive as you or I.
Are you maybe aware of any way I can harness the kind of energy this has to make full use out of this? Like, is there a chance there's anything else I can use this in our quest to, help us along the way?
And he says, I'm sorry, I don't know much more than that. They're mostly objects of legend. I just know conceptually what they are and how they're passed between or inside of elvish houses for generations. And the fact that elves live so long, they're typically thousands of years old.
Virion will splash water at Danby in a very flirtatious way, just say, "Oh, you're silly."
And he said, no, I'm not implying that you are that old, of course, but that they have the capacity to be as old.
All right. You're lucky you saved yourself there.
And he says, if you want to know more, you should probably take it to a scholar or a wizard who could divine the secrets of this sword. It's quite a valuable artifact you have here.
Thank you. I will definitely do that. What else do you got going on for the rest of the night? Do you want to, see a magician or something? I don't
He
know
has
what.
such a way with words. I don't know what it is.
And he
Very
says, are you the magician?
I can make a couple things disappear if you give me a couple minutes.
Oh my god.
And as we cut away from these two, you hear Danby say, well, why don't you show me your cantrips?
Oh, I didn't know you could use prestidigitation like that.
PG-13 game. So we move over to the other three adventurers in the corner, Laja, Rorgar, and Guardian. As you guys are seated, moving over, you see through the crowd are Nimsy and Issa carrying plates of food.
Rorgar has probably finished at least one drink. And one thing you'll probably learn about him is that he's a lightweight. Especially when it comes to spirits. So he's already halfway through telling the story of killing the mighty moose, even though Laja and Guardian were there. They saw it. They were there. But friends, it was easily the size of a barn. And we dispatched it with no problem. But its magical energy was so powerful.
There are a number of villagers, though, in the tavern who have stopped their conversations and are turning towards you and listening to you. They all know that you guys actually killed the moose. So while the rest of the party may have heard this story before, the people in the tavern are really paying attention to you.
If Rorgar sees a crowd of people that he doesn't know, he probably turns to Laja. You should probably tell this story. I feel like I am misremembering all the details.
I honestly, I think you are a natural born storyteller. Please continue.
Deep breath from Rogar, which is cold. And he'll actually stand up from the table. Well, friends, it was a cold day. The winds were blowing. We were at a temple. And out of the darkness came a glowing creature that resembled a moose but had the strength of 10 moose. And it charged us. And it struck me. And for a moment, I could see Tonger and I could see Bahamut, and they were reaching out to pull me into the afterlife. But no, Rogar is too strong. Rogar said no. And Rogar, he came back to life, pulled his mighty battle axe, and struck down this moose. And that is how we saved this village. We saved the village from this evil creature. Isn't that right, Guardian? And he'll turn and see that Guardian is no longer at the table.
Yeah, Garden got up and left.
As you finish your story, Rogard, there's a round of applause to the tavern as people are clapping.
Thank you. We also beheaded a druid, and I think the druid was actually the one that was threatening the town. The moose was just a tool of the druid, but you know, it's cooler to say some strange creature was attacking. And then Rogar back into the booth, and pick up another drink.
By this point, I'd like to imagine Issa has probably eaten about half of the meat that was put in front of her that she brought over, and she probably has a good enough sense of mind to be somewhat congratulatory as you sit down, and she says, "That's quite the tale. This must have been some moose."
Don't and Rogar is whispering, keep it to yourself if you can, but that is the first time the mighty Rogar actually dispatched of a monster. And to be fair, I believe someone else actually got the killing blow on that monster. I killed the druid, but the druid was just a person, a human. And, you know, you put an axe to the neck of a human being and they just die.
I mean,
For half a second, Rogar gives like the dead stare, like he's realizing he killed a person.
yeah, I was gonna say.
But anyway,
Nimsy walks over and she drops like a piece of parchment on the table in front of you guys, and she says, well, I'm a halfling of my word. As promised, this is the deed to the old inn, the Ramshackle Inn.
to be honest, Laja, I forgot that this was even a part of this deal.
I did as well, to be honest.
And I can't read that paper at the moment.
You've hardly touched.
What are you talking about? And there's only one empty glass on the table. In front of Rogar. Only one.
I'm gonna take the deed and look it over. Well, I guess we have somewhere to stay tonight at least.
And Nimsy says, well, I should confess, the inn has been abandoned for about 2 years. It is in a state of disrepair. However, the permit does give you authority to do whatever you'd like with it. You could convert it to something else, or you could run it as an inn. Goodness knows, Lonelywood could certainly use one. There's only so much room in my attic. And as you look, Laja, you see that it's actually signing over the rights from a guy named De Groots over to all of you.
Do you think it would be in good enough condition for us to go there tonight, or should we take a look in the morning? I wouldn't want to impose too much on your home, but honestly, if you say it's been in disrepair for so long, I've no idea what it would look like when we go over.
She says, I don't know if you would want to sleep in there. I know the roof needs to be patched. You're, of course, all welcome to stay in my attic. I could say that the inn does have some work before it could be, well, comfortably habitable.
In which case, we would definitely appreciate if we could stay at least one more night.
Of course, I consider you not only friends, but now citizens of Lonelywood.
Does it have to be, ugh. Do we have to keep the name the Ramshackle?
She says, of course not. That was what the Groots wanted the inn to be named. And her face kind of drops as she says that.
Wait, what happened to past owners? It's not like cursed and full of like spirits and ghosts, is it?
And she says, well, she kind of stammers a bit. I should be on it.
I do not wish to enter some sort of death house.
She says, it's not exactly that. De Groots was a sad individual who killed himself about 2 years ago. He hung himself in the common room of the Ramshackle. He owed a tremendous amount of money to Speaker Maxildar in Targos, and he was unable to pay his debts, and well, he decided to take his own life. It's very unfortunate.
We're not by taking this deed, we're not assuming this debt, are we?
Oh no, of course not. The possessions of the inn were taken in auction to pay off his debt upon his death, and I also chipped in some myself. The dead should not carry any debt with them into the afterlife, but the inn, I promise, is not haunted. It's just been mostly used for storage these last 2 years.
Well, if we are to take ownership of this inn, maybe we should give it a new name to truly separate it from this bad history. And then looking at Laja, maybe we call it Suzanne's.
I think that's a great name.
Yes, a new beginning. And then Rogar like has like a moment of indigestion that makes him look like an idiot. Ugh.
But Guardian, as you are walking back, you've overheard the name De Groots, and De Groots is actually one of the people that you were trying to collect a memento from.
Oh, here it comes. I kind of love how you just drag your token away.
Do I look cleaned up at least a little bit?
Sure.
Okay.
Maybe roll around in the snow.
Yeah, maybe use some snow and some ice just to remove some of the bits. Yeah, Garn will walk up to her and look at her. He's like, as anything of his possession still remains.
And Nimsy says, I'm sorry. It all had to be auctioned off. Speaker Maxwell Dinar, he was owed quite a bit of money.
I see. Thank you. He just look at everyone. He's like, where are we staying tonight?
Sorry, I had to swallow that last bite. Apparently in the speaker's attic, from what I've gathered.
And Nimsy says, if you don't mind, friends, I'd like to ask what's next for you.
I believe we'll have to head back to the first town we came across and deal with the monster in the lake.
He says, well, I'm sure Bremen can certainly use your help. Of course, most of the 10 towns could certainly use help right about now.
Is
Is
there
any-
some common issue going on with all 10 towns?
He says, well, apart from the curse, which is definitely our biggest problem, I've heard that in East Haven, they're getting ready to burn an evil wizard, or at least they say she's evil, that they caught, which is unfortunate. Sacrificing someone before the new moon isn't going to really do them any favor for Oril, but that's what they're going to do. Also, my speaker friend down in Tourmaline has had to close the gem mine because of some sort of issue. You guys all realize that Tourmaline is the next town closest to Lonelywood, going south. So from the forest, you could actually see Tourmaline. It's like 2 hours away. And she says, those are the most immediate issues that I know of, but she looks to you, Laja. I have to ask you, I've been thinking about this since I first saw you. Do you really think... Why is Lathander allowed the curse of Oril to plague Icewind Dale for so long?
To be honest, I don't know. Maybe, perhaps that's the reason that I was sent up here, is to do something about this, but I don't have any more information than anybody else.
And Rorgar, as she says that, is drunkenly pointing a finger at her, like, that's right. That's it. Yes, that's how I feel. I feel like a divine spirit sent me up here to do good.
Well, you want to be careful because otherwise the spirits are going to come out of you. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
They do when I use my. Oh wait, you're using some sort of a what do they call it? Turn of phrase, some sort of joke. I sometimes miss those.
I'm basically implying that if you seem to be of such weak constitution that you probably don't want to finish that glass of. Oh, nope, you're okay. There goes glass number 2. Okay.
Yeah, friend. If I and whispering, if I throw up, it's just like a frozen chunk at bed.
I don't think we needed to know that, but
Oh, I said that.
No.
Oops. Sorry. But it is a side effect of being dragonborn. Sometimes your throw up is very weird.
But Nimsy
Okay.
takes a seat next to all of you guys in your booth, and she leans in closer. She says this very quietly. She says, it's not commonly known, but all of the speakers we've all collectively met, and we're noticing that over time our resources are dwindling, and it's because of this winter. Even our trappers aren't able to catch more wildlife to sell for money. We're catching less food. Mare Duwalden is yielding less fish. The weather is getting colder. She says, we're all doing our best, and the sacrifices seem to be appeasing Oril to a degree, but it's just getting worse. And I hate to put this on anyone, of course. I can't even imagine who could accomplish this, but something has to be done. But I don't know how you take on a god.
Well, you start with a simple step.
Yes,
And
I do agree. Speaker.
I'm just gonna reach over to Rogar and cover his mouth.
No, Speaker, I agree. Something needs to be done. My glass is empty, and no one has come to refill it.
Covering his mouth.
Uh,
And Nimsy laughs. Of course. You're here to celebrate. I shouldn't be putting a shade on on your happiness now. I'll get you more to drink, my friend. And she
But,
walks off.
Wait,
Speaker, before you go, you mentioned something about a witch burning.
She nods. Yes, in East Haven, they've captured a wizard that they say is evil, and they plan to burn her in the next few days. It's unfortunate. I'm sure you know this by now, and she looks to all of you, that each town gives a sacrifice to Auril in the new moon. Some towns give up their warmth, so for the entire night on the new moon, they burn no fires and barely almost, survive because of the freezing weather. Some towns, like here in Lonelywood, we sacrifice food, which we're fortunate to have enough to give. And some towns, like East Haven, give a human sacrifice. And by the way, when she's saying human, she doesn't actually mean the race, she means a person. They give a human sacrifice, and each town selects that sacrifice differently. The people of East Haven have decided to kill this person before the new moon, which means they are particularly convinced of this person's crime, although from what I've been told, there's no evidence at all. And it's silly because they will have to make another sacrifice in a week's time for the new moon to appease Auril. It's a sad state, and I hope it doesn't indicate that East Haven is beginning to lose hope. It's a dangerous precipice they stand on. It's just barely in those towns that are sacrificing their populace. They're just one step from anarchy. In fact, in Bryn Shandor, they close the gates so no one can leave.
Out of character, how far away would it take, or how long would it take us to get to East Haven from where we are currently?
Let me do some math here.
Because this is actually playing into one of my little backstory personality things.
Yes, how did they decide that this was a witch or a evil wizard?
So if you took the road, it would take you about 18 hours. Let me actually throw up the map so you guys can see the path that I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, so East Haven's pretty far.
You're currently in Lonelywood. It would take you about 18 hours if you take the road south through Tourmaline, through Targos, Bryn Shaddar, and then you head east on the east way to East Haven. It would take you about 18 hours travel, so probably about 2 or 3 days. Of course, you could forego the road and go straight across from Tourmaline, across the tundra, or the plains rather, and go straight to East Haven. That would make it about 9 hours. So you could probably do that in a day if you pushed it.
Is Bryn Shandor is where we did the fishing, right?
No, Bryn Shandor is where you guys were originally headed. You haven't actually been there. The place you did the fishing is Bremen.
Oh, okay. Just missed it by that much.
The bridge is out at Bremen, so that's why you guys took the long way around the lake to get to Lonelywood. So you can't actually go from Targos to Bremen, or actually you can't get to Bremen any way at all unless you take the long way again, or you go across the lake.
So, as the speaker more or less describes this whole sacrifice thing, Issa's face just gets more notably lined, a bit more stern, and very quietly she says, I think I need to go save this woman. It's a failing of mine. I have a bit of a soft spot for the law, and having it upheld in a good way, this does not seem like a good cause, a good reason to kill someone over.
Yes. What do you know what she did to be labeled as this evil person that deserves to be murdered?
Nimsy says, when I heard of this, I sent a note to Speaker Whalen, who is the speaker in East Haven, asking asking him for any information. Now, the speaker is quite known for his humility and compassion, and I was quite surprised when the response back from the speaker was that, while they have no direct evidence, it appears as though the mob has convinced themselves that this person needs to be killed. And I think the speaker did not confirm this. I think he is appeasing the mob in this case to keep order.
I think Rorgar gets a little clear-headed here, and he breathes a deep breath and says, well, the wicked deserve no mercy. But I'm not sure this person deserves to be labeled wicked. At least until we can ascertain that they deserve this punishment. I agree with Issa. We should probably go and ascertain that this person is deserving this fate.
Nimsy says, even if you find that they are deserving, their death should wait, because if they kill them now, they'll have to kill another innocent person for the sacrifice on the new moon. It's disgraceful to kill someone without evidence, but doubly so in light of the sacrifice they have to make a week later.
Well, I mean, my mother cast me into the sea of moving ice when I was a young child, so let's just say sacrifices like this don't sit well with me.
Speaker, do you know why East Haven has decided that human sacrifice is necessary?
Nimsy, she pushes her glasses up again and she says, every town has decided to make a sacrifice based on their own belief on the severity of Orwell on their town. The larger towns, East Haven included, believe that the resource that Orwell that will appease her the most is their population. As you get to the smaller towns like Lonelywood, we have less to give. If we sacrificed our population, we would be a ghost town within a matter of months. The larger towns don't have the resources that we have in ways of food or that, so they have chosen to sacrifice their people, and they have seen a measure of success. They have had fewer incidents like we've had here of creatures possessing intelligence and killing trappers, or creatures from the lake coming alive. Fewer things like that have happened in those cities.
I don't believe that this would be the will of Torm. So I will make it my mission to go to this city and make sure that this is a lawful punishment. And if possible, I will discourage this town from sacrificing an individual.
And if your words don't do the trick, well, let's just say I have my own way with words.
Hell yeah. And then Rorgar passes that on the table. Bam.
She says that the nature of the human sacrifices in each town has been a matter of much contention with all of the speakers. I petitioned the Temple to Lathander and Bryn Shandor to give us advice or counsel, and we were given no response.
Well, Speaker, we'll certainly head over tomorrow to see what is and if you can keep Lonelywood going for now, you have the sacrifice for this month at least, and we'll see what we can do about this entire situation. I wouldn't want to see this to go on forever.
And she says, I can ask you to do no more than you have already done. Of course, asking anyone to fix this situation is asking them to take on a goddess, which I can't even imagine where to begin there. Just a word of advice. If you're headed to East Haven, of course you'll have to head with haste, but you don't want to be in any of those towns on the new moon. As I said at Bryn Shandor, they close the gates and draw a lottery. It's not a place to be. And she looks up.
Well,
But
if you're
I'll get
there
you.
on the night, we can always camp outside of town.
And she says, that is what many people try. However, since you have not been in the Dale during a new moon, and she kind of looks at you, Issa, because you probably know this already. She says, the creatures of Icewind Dale on the new moon grow in ferocity, and we encourage everyone who can to stay in town. Those who have tried to, using Bryn Shendor as an example, to camp outside the town on the new moon are seldom heard from again. On the new moon, we push out all of our food that we've collected as a sacrifice, and the next morning it is all gone. Where it goes, I can't say.
Well, it sounds like we're going to this town anyways. Shall we get some rest?
Yeah, it would seem that our friend here, nudging certain Dragonborn, needs his rest quite well.
When you nudge him, you hear a few words slurred in Draconic, and Rogar pumps 5 points of lay on hands into himself to try to cure his drunkenness, and it probably has very little effect.
Yeah, technically you're poisoning, so
Like I said last session, I do not have lesser restoration prepared. Sorry, everybody.
5
Roar
points
suffer.
would cure poison, so
That's
No,
really
lesser
easy.
restoration would. I'll make sure to have that on hand since
So-
Roar seems to need some
If-
help now
no.
and then.
if it counts for poison, that means Rogar kind of pops up and says,
have
another round for the table.
Oh,
Guards is going to get up and start hanging out.
And Nimsy heads off to get something to drink for the group. Does anyone going to do anything else in town tonight? It's kind of late. I'd say probably at this point it's probably 10 in the evening in
Oh, I
Lonelywood.
thought it was 10 when we got there.
Okay, you're right. It's probably 11 then. Probably closer to 11.
Rogar's got his spot, so
I think we can supply up tomorrow.
Where's the door? There's a door.
Okay, so that's probably what we'll call it for tonight, and we close the scene out with Danby and Varian. Danby has his arm around Varian's shoulder, and they're both, very happily staring into each other's eyes. But that is where
Very
we will,
happily.
that's where we'll call it for tonight.